Action Figure Reboots. Sponsored by Pearson Art.
Hello, and welcome back. Today we're looking at another Wishbook Exclusive. For those of you who may not be familiar with this, it's a new segment that I started some episodes back. Wishbooks were catalogs sent out by the big department stores, usually in the fall, so you could order all your things for the holidays. You might think of them as the Amazon of its day. And sometimes they had exclusives, like this. If it was a Wishbook exclusive, that meant you could only get it through the catalog, or you could order it in the store, but you could only get it through the mail. And it was only exclusive to that specific Wishbook. You couldn't get it from any other one. This is the one that I remember, but there were others through the years. Sometimes it was a figure, might be a playset, or a vehicle. So I thought it might be cool to do something like that, to make something that wasn't made previously. And it wouldn't have to be a figure. It could also be a playset or a vehicle. So with that being said, let's begin. I remember getting this for Christmas the year it came out. I've spoken about these before in other episodes. These were great, and this one was no exception. It was the very first appearance of the Batman, and it was a killer debut. Of course I knew who Batman was, but I had never seen him like this. His whole look was killer, and the artwork was stellar. My eyes burned holes in those pages. I loved everything about this look. The mask, the cape, the purple gloves, the belt with the round buckle, all of it. It's still my favorite version of Batman. And at the time, I noticed something. If you look at the Mego Batman, without all his accoutrements, this suit is actually perfect for this version of Batman. The trunks should have been made in blue, but for some reason Mego made them in black. But I thought, if you took this suit and put it on a Riddler body, you would be halfway there. Because, of course, he has the purple gloves. I thought this was a great idea, but not for me, for Mego. It's simple, right? Just give him the same cape in black, the same boots in black, put a new sticker on there for the emblem. You could even keep the same belt. Just change the head. I actually felt so strongly about this idea that I was going to write them a letter. I saw on their packaging that they were located in New York. And I had relatives in New York, so I knew where it was. So I thought I would write a letter and suggest it. But then I figured I'd have to show them a picture of what I was talking about. And since there wasn't really any place to get copies, not back then, I would have had to rip a page out of the book, and I really didn't want to do that. So the letter never went out. I did attempt to make my own at the time, but it really didn't come out that great. So then I just filed it away in the back of my head. But then in the mid-2000s, this was released. I think it was the mid-2000s. I'm not really sure. But anyway, it was this box set, Masterpiece Edition. They did one for Superman and Wonder Woman too. It was actually pretty cool. It came with a reprint of Batman #1, a book about the history of Batman, and a Batman figure. This set was the only one that had an action figure. The Superman and Wonder Woman sets had more or less statues, not figures like this. I will admit it was kind of cool to see this in action figure form, but I was never really a big fan. I think the head sculpt is great. It's the body I didn't like. It was the same body that Hasbro used when they did their DC lineup back in the 90s. I just never liked it. And they suffered from the same fate. Great head sculpts, bad body. But that's just my opinion. Your mileage may vary. The head sculpt was really good on this, but it wasn't Mego scale, so I couldn't really use it. But then a few years later, somebody was able to actually shrink it down to Mego scale. There was some kind of process to be able to do that. I forget what it was. So I ordered one just to check it out. And it was Mego scale. But there was a couple things I had a problem with. The head did have a neck plug, and that was fine. But if you look at the neck in this picture, you can see that it kind of sticks out a little bit on either side. And from the back, you could see that it kind of slopes out. And that's because it was made for that particular body and not a Mego. So that was the first thing. But that was the easy part because it was resin. So I was able to just sand that down. The real problem was that it was kind of a bad cast. What I mean by that is there must have been air bubbles in the silicone mold. So it created a lot of air pockets in the cast. And that might have happened during the shrinking process. I really don't know. But it needed to be addressed. So I reached out to this very talented woman named Lori, who used to sculpt her own heads. So she had a lot of the kits to make the molds and the resin. So I asked her about it. I let her know what was going on, and she said, send it over to me. So I sent her the head, and she modified it quite a bit. And this is what she came up with. And I was really happy with the results. You could say it was a bit of a group effort, my contribution being minimal at best. But I was glad to get the ball rolling on something like this. This figure was actually put together some years back, but I was never really happy with some of the accessories that I used. So I thought this was a perfect opportunity to give this a mini reboot, if you will. So now that we have the head, we're going to start from the beginning. For the body, I'm going to use the Mego Standard Type 1. It doesn't have to be a Riddler body, not anymore. For the suit, I'm going to go with this vintage Mego. Again, perfect for this version of Batman. For the gloves, I'm going to go with these purple ones from CTVT. I used these on a Joker some episodes back, and I really like the way they looked, so I'm going to go with them again. For the cape, I'm going to use this Doc Mego reproduction. I'll leave a link in the description to his website. I don't know if this is a different design, but they seem to be longer than the original Megos were, which I think works much better. The last cape I used really didn't age well, so I think this is a real upgrade. For the emblem, I'm going to go with this. I actually came across this by accident when I was looking for something else, and for the life of me, I don't remember where I got it. I think it might have been eBay. I had to modify it a bit, but I think it's going to look great. And again, I think it's a real upgrade from the last one I used. For the boots, I'm going to go with these. This was an early design by Mego known as skinny boots. Normally I would go with just reproductions, but I really like the way these look. And now we come to the belt. Earlier I said you could even use the original Mego belt. And I could have did that, but I was never really crazy about how that looked. I always thought that the belt was a bit too small. But back then, when I first did this, there really wasn't a lot of choices for Batman belts. There still isn't. As much as I love this design, unless a company makes this figure in Mego's scale, nobody's ever going to make that belt. In fact, you can't even get this belt made in 12-inch scale, which is a much bigger custom market. I thought a belt like this would be a good choice. I don't necessarily need the round buckle. I think this belt is pretty cool too. But there's nothing available like that now, and there certainly wasn't back then. So I didn't really know what to use. So then I decided to go with this. This is a 1989 Batman biking figure. I think these were only available in Australia. They're kind of hard to come by now, but back when I bought this, somebody must have had cases of them because they were popping up all over eBay. I didn't get this for the belt, but I did have it, so I thought, why not use it? I figured it would be a good bridge between Batman's first appearance and Tim Burton's '89 movie, which was the 50th anniversary of Batman. I thought it looked pretty good, so that's what I decided to go with. Okay, we got all the parts. Let's put it together and see what we got. All right, I'm liking this. I think this looks really good. The suit fits nice. Boots look good. I really like the cape. A lot better than the last one I used. This one looks more vintage. I like that it keeps that aesthetic. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. I love the way the gloves look. The emblem. I really wish I could remember where I got this because it really looks great. And I can't believe I just came across it and it works so perfectly. I'm really glad I decided to keep that belt too. Really happy with that. And I'm still loving this head. I think it looks great. Still love it as much as I did when I first got it. I still kind of regret never sending that letter out, but I probably would have got a very nice reply thanking me for my interest. and then never doing it. But as a kid, I had no idea how much work went into putting something like this together. When you're young, you think, just put a new head on there, not knowing the process behind it. I still think it would have been a good idea for them to do. It probably would have been a big hit. I would have liked to have seen it under my Christmas tree back in the day. And even though it's taken some time, it looks like this Christmas I will. So I guess that about wraps it up for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, share, comment. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, always remember and never forget, think outside the box.